organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
On this edition of Daily Iowan TV, a recap of last night's elections. We've got your full coverage at the top of the hour.
And the heat is on. Find out how the UISG is enforcing city code winter requirements.
And in sports, the Hawks prepare for another chance to return to college football's postseason.
That's all coming up next.
This is Daily Iowan TV.
I'm Tom Brokaw. For more than 100 years now, the University of Iowa community has been waking up to the Daily Iowan. Today, it's the largest newsroom in eastern Iowa. And now you can see the news every night on Daily Iowan TV and get it anytime worldwide at dailyiowan.com.
Well, Election Day is over in Johnson County, and we have a major recap at the top of the hour to keep you informed, everyone. Welcome. I'm Rebecca Hager.
And I'm Stephen Duran. Last night was a busy election night all around Johnson County. Many city official seats were up for re-election, along with some hot-button Iowa City issues. Earlier today, I recapped some of last night's results. Coralville is turning into one of the most beautiful towns in Iowa with the addition of things like the Iowa River Landing. Although with the new additions come large amounts of spending, and this spending has led Coralville to become almost $280 million in debt. But after last night's victory for new Mayor John Lindell, it showed that community goals will not be altered by outside influences from groups like Americans for Prosperity.
All of that discussion is really happening in circles outside of Coralville, but that citizens are happy with the way things are going, and they spoke and reelected the same politicians who are making those decisions, so I think it shows that our city is content.
The 21-only ordinance was also up for re-election last night, and to many people's surprise, it will remain in place after receiving 66% of the vote. The ordinance was put back onto the ballot earlier this year after appeals were brought to the city's attention. The decision to uphold the ordinance is one the city and university were hoping for in order to keep the campus area a safe environment.
With students working with community interests to still ensure that our city is vibrant and has a lot of entertainment opportunities, but I think that kind of in the end a lot of these things do keep students safer, or at least make it less likely that you'll get arrested or cited for a ticket.
As a percentage of votes against the 21 ordinance continue to drop, Iowa City officials are hopeful the issue will not be on the ballot in 2 years.
In addition to the Coralville mayoral election and 21 ordinance topic, the Iowa City Council had an election too. 2 at-large seats were up for election this year.
Susan Mims won re-election, turning in with 42% support. Her platform focused on creating new jobs for Iowa City residents and diversity initiatives using her financial expertise.
And Kingsley Botchway won the second at-large seat, turning in with 41% of the vote, a tight race between the two. His campaign focused primarily on more financial responsibility from the city, as well as having more involvement of the city council in public events.
Former at-large council member Terry Dickens won a re-election in a two-way race for the District B seat, turning in a 58% voter support. His platform was framed around creating more affordable housing for Iowa City residents and more economic development.
Records show that 22% of Iowa City voters turned out for this election, compared to the previous city election at 14%.
With the fall season in full swing, the University of Iowa student government is reminding students they have the right to heat. Cooler temperatures are forcing students into coats and scarves. Landlords must turn up the heat to keep apartments warmer than 65 degrees, regardless of when their lease contract states their landlord will. UISG sent out an email last week stating the issue is in city code, which overrides what might be said in their lease. UISG members said this reminder followed complaints from students about their temperature dropping.
Hearing that from students that the heat wasn't on yet, and it was cold outside, the temperatures were dropping. That's something that we wanted to look into, because UISG looks into the welfare of our students. We care about that, and that's something that's important.
Students whose landlords do not turn up the heat are encouraged to contact Sue Digman, who works for the city of Iowa City.
A steam leak at the UI chemistry building caused a major stir on Twitter. A student responded by pulling the fire alarm, and this caused students to believe that there was an experiment gone wrong. Here's a picture that was tweeted showing the steam leak. Nothing has been reported as damaged.
Certain Iowa City residents will be seeing a decrease in their insurance premiums starting in May. Property owners in Iowa City's 100-year floodplain will be having a 15% discount on their flood insurance premiums. This decrease is caused by a federal review that stated the city has made major efforts to reduce future flooding. Stick around, coming up later in the show.
I'll tell you what's been buzzing around Iowa City in our Wednesday segment of Hawkeye Buzz.
And later in sports, Fran McCaffrey met with the media today ahead of Friday's season opener.
Now we'll hand it over to our own Tiara Simpson with your weather forecast. Tiara?
Well, guys, the clouds this morning cleared up, but it looks like more are to come later on this week. Tomorrow morning, we will start the day off at a chilling 32 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Moving into the afternoon, that temperature will rise to 45 degrees before dipping down to 39. Looking towards the extended forecast, Friday will be 50 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Those clouds should clear up by Saturday when the weekend's temperature will be in the mid to low 50s. Next week will bring more clouds with temperatures in the low 60s, and Tuesday we can expect the temperature to dip to a frigid 43. Well, that's all I have for your weather. Make sure you bundle up outside. Back to you two at the desk.
Thanks for that, Tiara. Now for some news beyond Iowa. For all you gamers out there, Call of Duty Ghosts is the hot item on the market. The game was released on Tuesday and has already sold $1 billion in sales to retailers. COD Ghosts has so far mixed reviews, and many feel it's just an updated version of the last game. And now it's time for our Wednesday segment of Hawkeye Buzz with our own Alyssa Bergamini. Alyssa, what's going on?
What's up, Wednesday? Hey, guys, and welcome back to your weekly edition of Hawkeye Buzz. If you're staying in the Iowa area over the weekend and are looking for some fun things to do, well, I've got you covered. Let's start with tomorrow. And let's be honest, who doesn't like a good laugh? Tomorrow, the award-winning New Jersey comedian Adam Mamawala, yes, that is a real name, will be at the Mill in downtown Iowa City busting out his best jokes. Adam has performed at over 100 colleges and is making his way down to Iowa. The event starts at 10 p.m. Moving ahead to Friday, if you're a fan of jazz music, well, then you're lucky. The master of jazz, Wycliffe Gordon, will also be at the Mill, presenting his craft of music at both 7 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. And if you're not traveling to Purdue to watch the Hawkeyes take down the Boilermakers, then check out Coralville's sweetest new business. As of yesterday, Scratch Cupcakery at Iowa River Landing had its grand opening. So get rid of that sweet tooth that you've had all week and try out one of these cupcakes that, yes, you guessed it, are made from scratch. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Have a great weekend and go Hawks.
Now, I think that I'm going to stick around to Iowa City this weekend, and I think the jazz concert is right up my alley.
Yes, that would be Wycliffe Gordon, and I've never seen him live, but I have listened to multiple of his records, and he is one of the best trombonists. So.
Really?
Yes.
I'm going to have to check that out. Well, now we've got our sports edition tonight. We're going to throw it over to Kevin Gluick for a look at everything black and gold. Kevin?
Thanks, guys. Welcome back to your Hump Day edition of the show. Plenty for you on tap this program ahead of this weekend's trip to Purdue with another opportunity to return to college football's bowl season. We kick off today's show with a preview of this week's battle with the Boilermakers from our own Jalen Socek. Jalen?
On Saturday, the Hawks will look to bounce back after a disappointing 28-9 loss against Wisconsin at historic Kinnick Stadium. The Black and Gold will travel to West Lafayette to take on the Purdue Boilermakers for the 84th meeting between the two schools. Purdue will look to salvage any pride they have left after being shut out 56-0 by Ohio State last weekend. Purdue is winless in the Big Ten, but leads the Iowa in the series 46-34. Last year, Iowa fell to Purdue at home due to a late 46-yard field goal by the Boilermakers, bringing the final score to 27-24. Jake Rudock leads Iowa's passing attack with 155 completions and 259 attempts to account for 1,724 yards and 12 touchdowns, compared to Purdue's Danny Etling with only 60 completions for 674 yards. Mark Wiseman alone tops Purdue's running game with 158 carries for 747 yards to Purdue's 560 total rushing yards. But head coach Kirk Ferentz isn't counting out the Purdue offense, who rank 100th in passing yards and 121st in rushing.
The move to a freshman quarterback who's a very good player. We were very interested in him during the recruiting process, and he's a quality young person, a really good player. And they've got an outstanding back. Starts there. You know, he's a really dangerous runner. He's their, I believe, second leading receiver. He's very active in the pass game as well. You know, so that's kind of where the focal point is.
Ferentz is currently 6-4 against the Purdue Boilermakers. This is Jalen Socek, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Thanks, Jalen. It's no secret the Boilermakers have struggled to a 1-7 record this season, but let's toss it over to the film room where Jordan Cabialis and Cody Goodwin are standing by to break down Purdue and give us their predictions. Guys?
Thanks, Kevin. Welcome back to the film room. Jordan Cabialis alongside Cody Goodwin. And Cody, no film to look at tonight, but we got some stats here. Both Iowa and Purdue last in the Big Ten in red zone offense and Purdue last in red zone defense. How much is that going to factor into this weekend's game?
Well, it could factor quite a bit. We're going to look at the red zone offensive stats first. Here you see Iowa 35 times they've gotten to the red zone. They've scored 26 times, but only 16 of those touchdowns. That's the stat that's really been troubling Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz. You'd see the Purdue offense sputtering like they have been all season. Only 16 times they've been to the red zone. They've only scored 10 times, and just 7 of those have been touchdowns. So really struggling both sides of the ball, especially Iowa. Not so much as Purdue, but definitely not to where Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz would like them to be. When we look at it defensively, this is actually where I kind of see a little bit of optimism for the Iowa offense. We see the defensive stats. Purdue has allowed opponents into the red zone 33 times, and 31 of those times that opponents has come away with scores. The most striking stat there is touchdowns. 27 touchdowns Purdue has allowed when their opponents have gotten into the red zone. Iowa, on the other hand, have allowed opponents 19 times, 16 scores, split right down the middle, 8 touchdowns, 8 field goals. So this could be an opportunity for Iowa to get back on track offensively, especially in the red zone, hitting C.J. Fedorowicz there with Dick Rudock that's inside that 20-yard line.
Team seemingly having no trouble getting into the red end zone against Purdue this season, and fans should have no trouble getting into the gates. As of 3 p.m. this afternoon, tickets for Saturday's game were going for as low as 25 cents. Yes, 1 quarter on StubHub.
Well, they actually slap you with a few fees if you try to order it electronically, so it'll come out to about $10. Still shouldn't be that big of a trouble.
That's how they get you. Cody, who you got in this one?
I like Iowa 27-10. Should be able to get back on track and get back to a bowl game.
All right, one more win, and the Hawkeyes qualify for their first bowl appearance since 2011.
Not all football on the program tonight. Head coach of the men's basketball team, Fran McCaffrey, met with members of the media today at Carver Hawkeye Arena ahead of Friday's opener against UNC Wilmington, a team that, according to Coach McCaffrey, shouldn't be overlooked.
It's a real good team. You know, and you're right. You know, you look at last year's record, you don't think that. But, you know, it starts with some of those guys really started coming on. They've got tremendous quickness on the perimeter in particular. They've got very similar depth that we have. You know, they're going to go at least 10 deep.
Tip-off is tentatively slated for 8:32 Central Time following the women's season opener versus UC Riverside. A final update for you, Ron Rainey's soccer team upset the second-seeded Wolverines 1-0 today in Champaign for their first postseason Big Ten win in program history. They advanced to face Penn State on Friday. That's all for now, but be sure to tune in tomorrow for tomorrow's pregame edition of the program as we get you set for Saturday's road to the trip to West Lafayette. Stefan, Rebecca, back to you at the desk.
Great coverage as always, guys, but before we close, here's an interesting story for you.
That's right, Stefan. A family in southeast London was forced to leave their home after a cluster of deadly Brazilian wandering spiders were found hatching off of a banana.
Shown here is a picture of an adult wandering spider. Their nickname is the banana spider. Most often found in South America, the wandering spider is known for being aggressive and poisonous.
One of the members of the family said she saw white spots on the banana and thought that it was just mold at first, until the tiny spiders just scampered off.
And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek into Thursday's pages of the Daily Iowan.
Erase the waste. Learn about a new eco-friendly program coming to Iowa City that can help you save during the holidays.
And check out Thursday's 80 Hours section and read about a tribute to one famous Universal composer.
That's your most current edition of Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check us out anytime online at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great night.